I want you to appropriate these words. I wish I had given the DJ time to play for me. But Whitney Houston sang the song One Moment in Time. And she said, each day I live, I want to be a day to give the best of me. I only one, but not alone. My finest day is yet unknown. I broke my heart, fought every game to taste the sweet. I face the pain, I rise and fall. Yet through it all, this much remains. I want one moment in time. Who can sing? Is anybody who can sing that song? I'm paying, my friend. I'm paying. It's an opportunity to make, and I don't pay little money. Anybody who can sing? Give me one moment in time. DJ, maybe unaweza nguzwa. All right? What? There you are. Listen to the words.
All right, that is Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, the boss of the Kenya Film and Classification Board, and of course he's talking to university student leaders drawn from both public and private universities, currently having a forum at the Kenya School of Government in Mombasa, forum that has been organized by the National Cohesion and Integration Cohesion to talk about issues that are shaping the future of the young people in this particular country, focusing this morning on how to build their capacity towards countering political intolerance and electoral violence ahead of the 2022 general elections. We'll be giving you more details about this forum even as we continue with the day's coverage of the news in this country. Now, we want to kickstart our conversation. This is the second interview we're having on News Check. In case you're just joining us, we want to talk about enhancing digital learning in the country. And Ali told you the COVID-19 pandemic, out of all the effects it came with, it taught us very big lessons. One of them is how to adjust to the new normal. The new normal in most learning institutions, of course, I beg your pardon, is, transitioning from the ordinary physical learning in the classroom environment to an online kind of an arrangement where learners are accessing education via the online means. And this has come with a lot of challenges for learning institutions and a lot of integrity issues also being questioned. And we want to explore the online learning environment to see to it how learning institutions are adjusting and what can be done to address some of the challenges that learning institutions are facing currently. And to help me understand that is none other than Professor Washington Okeyo. He is the Vice Chancellor of the Management University of Africa. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Serfine.
All right, so I want to understand, first of all, from your own perspective, there's a lot that other institutions have shared as to how this changed their life and their way of doing things. From your organization, from your institution, what is it, how would you say COVID-19 affected your institution?
Thank you very much, Serfine, for having me in the studio. As you've said, my name is Professor Washington Okeyo. I'm the Vice Chancellor of the Management University of Africa. Management University of Africa is a university that offers university education, obviously, and specifically in the niche of leadership, management, entrepreneurship, and governance. Mm-hmm. That is our main focus. And Management University of Africa has students that are learning those areas of specialization. So when COVID-19 struck way back in 2020, in March last year, it was affected, the university was affected by COVID-19, just as other universities were affected. Now, the challenges that came along with the COVID-19 included, obviously, the universities were closed, were shut off completely from physical access to students. And therefore, it meant that the universities had to look for means and ways of making sure that the students continued learning albeit in a situation which was not normal per se. And the universities had to invest in a lot of additional facilities. For example, initially, the universities were not using a lot of online learning and a lot of virtual learning. And this online learning and virtual learning became the norm, and therefore the universities had to buy additional equipment, additional facilities like the medium for communication, for example, the bundles, the laptops, the Android phones, and so on and so forth. But this is on side of the universities. On the side of the students also had to acquire, these additional gadgets, exactly equivalently. Although it required that the students spend additional money over and above the fees that they used to spend. So they had to ensure that they bought the laptops, they bought the bundles, and so on and so forth. So Management University of Africa aided the students or assisted the students in terms of getting into partnership with organizations that offer some of these gadgets. For example, the service providers of the bundles. We got into arrangement with service providers of the bundles so that they could sell them cheaper, in a cheaper rates, exactly, to our students. And also entered into partnership arrangements with organizations that sell laptops and computers. And they were able to sell laptops and computers to our students at much reduced rates.
All right. Yeah. Let me take you back to the university, the institution itself. How difficult was it for you to adjust, and how did you navigate when you saw the need that it's no longer a choice, we have to move online? Was it a difficult transition, and how did you navigate?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Serfine. It was, of course, a difficult situation to navigate, because one thing, like I said earlier, COVID-19 caught everybody unawares. And normally when you are caught unawares, you don't know how to react. And it was not a situation that we could have planned, for. And because of that, we had to put in place, remedial measures very quickly. And that called for setting up a central command where we would establish communication with our stakeholders, especially the students. And we had to set up teams that were in charge of each and every aspect of the student life and the university activities. We also had to make sure that these teams were able to communicate with the students. So there was a structured process that we went through. And every communication, every activity that required the students and other stakeholders of the university to go through or undertake were communicated to them in a very structured manner. So that the university was caught unawares, yes, but we reacted very fast to ensure that our students continued learning in the new normal, as it is called. Yeah.
Did you have like pre-existing mechanisms of online learning, or you had to start from scratch? I mean, by even enlightening the students on this new online learning environment, even the lecturers understanding how to lecture online. Was it something you were doing prior that you had to just build upon, or you had to start from scratch like other institutions?
Yeah. There's some semblance of online learning that we had in the university. It's
before
called
COVID.
Yes, before COVID.
Okay.
It's called online distance and e-learning that we used, and a section of our students were actually learning on that particular platform. So when COVID-19 struck, we're not caught totally unawares. We are not caught totally, below the belt in terms of online learning, because there were students who were already learning, and we already had some materials, programs, learning materials, teaching materials, and so on that we're using in that particular platform, although it wasn't for all the students. However, there's a difference between online learning and virtual learning. Online learning is where students are sent materials via, an established online system, and then they access it through that online system, and then they can read, they can interact with the lecturers, although it is not real time. However, virtual learning is where now students are taught through the telephones, through the Zoom method, through the Microsoft, Meet platform, and so on and so forth.
And it's real time.
And it is real time. That is the difference. Okay. That we didn't have.
Okay.
But we had to quickly adjust and bring in that kind of system into our learning system, our learning stream, so that we could use it. And to do that, we got in to arrangements with the providers of this kind of online platform. We got in touch with the Zoom. We got in touch with Microsoft, suppliers of Microsoft services, and we entered into formal arrangements with them. And that is what we started using immediately. The COVID-19 started. So that augmented our ODEL, so to speak, system.
All right. Prof, I'd like to understand, what would you then describe in terms of the country's investment on infrastructure and even digital literacy? If we say we want to embrace digital learning, have we really focused on that, being a stakeholder in the sector? Do you think we have been sensitive to investing, having the right infrastructure put in place, having the right knowledge about digital learning and digital teaching, available to those who are in the learning curve?
Yes, thank you very much for the question. Now, in terms of being prepared, in terms of putting into place infrastructure and so on for digital learning, I would say that there is some infrastructure that can be used for digital learning. However, the way the universities and the education system in the country operates is that it isn't the responsibility of, say, the government to do that per se. It is left at the hands of the universities, it is left at the hands of the schools and other institutions to identify their needs, because the government is playing an enabling role here of enabling, coming up with the policies and regulations to regulate the technology that comes into the country. So once that is done, it is upon the universities, it is upon the learning institutions to identify and say that we need this kind of platform, which the government has already, sort of allowed through a policy to be brought into the country, so that I go for it. So in terms of preparedness of the universities and other institutions of learning, that is where the rubber meets the road for digital preparation, really. Because, and again, it is an issue of expectation. Did the universities and other learning institutions expect that at some point they would require to go full blast on online learning and virtual learning? The answer is no. Because they did not foresee a situation where the physical interaction would be cut off completely. And indeed, this has caught the entire world totally unawares. So it's not possible to say that we could have done some scenario analysis to say that if this manifests, then this is the way we would, would handle it. It would be difficult to sort of have expected the universities and other learning institutions to totally prepare themselves to mitigate what would come in this particular case. But because technology was available, because online learning alternatives were available, interactive virtual learning systems were available, and hardware was available. Already we have the mobile telephony, we have the Android phones, we have the laptops, and so on and so forth. So it shouldn't have been difficult for an institution to transist. It called for an organized sort of way of handling the situation, identifying that these are the problems that has come to us. So how do we go about it? We have all the software here, we have all the technology here, we have all the hardware here, and so on and so forth. So all we need to do is plug in our needs into these systems.
But Prof, still, you've talked about the enabling environment that the government has created, and you've talked about even as institutions having this hardware that is needed and the software that is needed. All they need to do is to plug in their needs. But when COVID struck and when there was that need to embrace digital learning, what stood out was how big the number of learners who could not access the online classes was. There was conversations about the cost that it came with, how many learners can access these gadgets. There was questions about the internet connectivity in the country. Some parts of the country were still locked out of the internet. And these are questions that emanated. So the reason I asked you how you would gauge or describe our level of investment in these issues is just for you to address whether this is true or how you feel about this particular matter.
Yes, thank you. I think it is right to say that a lot of people are inconvenienced by COVID-19, not just in the education sector, but also in the other sectors. Social life basically was totally, put to shambles. And the preparedness in terms of the readiness of availability of tools and equipment to handle this situation can be put to question, because it wasn't really the issue of we can tackle this using a specific type of equipment or a specific type of system. No, that wasn't the case. Everybody was trying a lot of trial and error. Yeah. And that trial and error, eventually, if somebody got it right, then that person succeeded. Indeed, students were heavily inconvenienced, because you mentioned the issue of availability of the hardware and the technology. Technology could be available, yes, but is it available everywhere? Is it reliable technology? People keep on giving examples of far-flung areas in Kenya. We talk about Mandera, we talk about Marsabit, we talk about Turkana, we talk about Busia, and so on. These places which are very far, and therefore, even if you have technology centrally, for example, in Nairobi or in the major cities of the country, that technology may not be very helpful, in these particular far-flung areas. And our students come from all over the country. We have students in Turkana, we have students in Mandera, we have students in Busia, we have students in Vanga, towards Kwale, down the coast, and so on and so forth. So it is not true to say that we could handle all the students equally. Yeah. It depended on where the students are. And, but we made sure that even students who are out as far as Turkana, where technology is not very reliable, that we could establish for them communication through the ODEL, or online distance and e-learning platform, which is non-interactive. The major problem is the interactive platform. Yeah, so we used both systems complementary.
So innovation,
complement each other.
Innovation was key,
yes,
for
exactly,
you to navigate in this process. Yeah. As a stakeholder, I'd just like you to also share with us what you think can be done to change the narrative for us to get to a point where learners can access, can afford, and can interact with the online learning environment effectively. What is it that we need to change? How much ground do we need to cover? Based on the challenges you have experienced so far, like who should do what,
yes, for
us to really have a sort of a compromise for all learners to be brought on board, because no one is to be left behind.
Yes, I think the major role goes to the government. The government needs to come up with policies around use of technology, around use of virtual learning systems, around use of computers and so on in for learning. I say the government because everything starts at a policy level. So if the government has not crafted a policy that will make sure that all students, wherever they are, access learning. Of course, right now there is the right to learning, which is enshrined in our Constitution. But then it needs to be broken down at the policy level to guide the players both in the industry and also in the education sector, so that it can be done in a more focused manner. That is number one. Number two, the technology providers, they need to go an extra mile and make sure that the technology that they provide is available throughout the country. And then they need to look at the needs of the user of that technology. For example, if the user is a student and the student is way out there in Turkana, for example, other system, technology systems, like the mobile telephony, like the ability to use bandwidth and so on, easily accessible out there in Turkana as it is in other places like the major cities of the country. So it again goes to the service providers. They need to make sure that they cover themselves, they cover the whole country, fairly equitably in terms of availability of technology and systems. If you go to countries outside, like the United States, like the UK, Japan, and so on and so forth, they have sort of laid out their technology in terms of the convenience of the user. And their technology goes to every single corner of those countries, so that it doesn't matter whether you are in the city of New York or you are at the the far-flung areas in
still access
Dallas, Texas, and so on and so forth. You can still access technology very exactly.
Will we ever get there as Kenya?
Yeah, but we already have those examples. So the question is, how can we now establish our our plans so that we move towards. I know it cannot happen overnight, but it is something that we seriously need to think about, because we already see it happening. We need to do what we call scenario planning. We need to plan and see what are the options that are available for us, and sort of analyze and say, if a situation like this manifests, how can we handle it? And if a different situation manifests, how can we handle it? Then the other angle to ensuring that this the level of preparedness is appropriate to the students is now in the education providers, the players like the universities, like the schools, like the other institutions. They now need to make sure that they themselves have proper plans in place to address the issues of their students' needs. So that if a student needs to learn online, what is it that they need to put in place to ensure that that student's learning is not interrupted by lack of technology, by lack of systems, by lack of software. The same thing with virtual learning. So there are those three levels. One is at the government level. Number two is at the service providers level. Number three is at the education sector players level.
All right.
Yeah.
We're coming back to continue having this conversation, but right now we just want to follow up on something that is also happening. There was a request of the Bonchari Member of Parliament, John Oro Oyoka. Currently speaking is the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi. Let's just listen into what he's saying.
Occasions such as this one, which is one about which we focus our minds to the occasion, which is to eulogize the departed, to engage in other science shows. So you have no fears, you should not have any worries that from this mouth you are unlikely to hear anything outside of what brought us here. That is my nature, that is my practice. Allow me, however, to recognize the parliamentary fraternity members that are here as a matter of courtesy, because they may not have the opportunity to be recognized here. It's only fair that we recognize them. We have present in our midst, in the church, my very good friend, the Senator for Kisii, Professor Sam Ongeri. We also have the Honorable Commissioner of the Parliamentary Service Commission, Ben Omanyi. We also have the indefatigable and very active member for Kitutu Church South, the Honorable Richard Momoima Onyonka. We also have in our midst the Honorable Innocent Momanyi, who just spoke to us. We also have yet another professor, very active, the Honorable Professor Zando Kogutu. We have my very good friend who has traversed both houses, like the Honorable Professor Ongeri, but in our own right, the Honorable Women Rep for Kisii, Janet Ongera. We also have the member for Nyamira County. We call them, some people call them women reps, like I just said. The Honorable Jerusha Momanyi. Mongina, sorry. Momanyi also is. Yeah, exactly. We also have my good friend, to whom I handed over the reins of...
All right, so that is the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, speaking at the Holy Family Basilica, where currently underway is the Requiem Mass of former Bonchari Member of Parliament John Oro Oyoka, who is now late. We will be getting back to that. I understand that the PS Esther Koimeti is currently speaking. Let's just go back there. And all right, so let me take you to another function here. We'll be getting back to that particular Requiem Mass later. But today also the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner is marking 100 days since the establishment, and they're having a forum at the Movenpick Hotel just to discuss how far they've gone, their achievements, and other issues that they plan to prioritize in the next 12 months. Currently speaking is PS Esther Koimet. Let's listen into what she's saying.
The Industrial Revolution brought with it technological and social advances that have resulted in transformative development in computing and other emerging technologies, which are collecting and generating unprecedented and exponential amounts of data, most of which relates to individuals. As a result, the technological developments are presenting major concerns of privacy in the way information is processed, which calls for protection of the individual and how their data is collected, used, and stored. The Data Protection Act is hailed as one of the most progressive data protection laws in Africa, and indeed globally. The enactment of the Data Protection Act in November of 2019 was a momentous achievement that marked the government of Kenya's commitment to upholding and protecting the constitutional right to privacy of individuals and the protection of their personal data of Kenya's citizens and residents. Kenya's development is anchored on Vision 2030, which aims to transform the country into a knowledge-based, industrialized, middle-income country, providing a high quality of life to all its citizens. One of the key guidelines of the attainment of Vision 2030 is the National ICT Policy 2010, which guides Kenya's priorities in the ICT sector. The Data Protection Act is key enabling legislation in the attainment of Kenya's strategic goals, and indeed the operationalization of the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner plays a critical role in the attainment of the same. The Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs has been and continues to be committed to ensuring the success of the Office of the Data Commissioner. And to that end, the ministry, as you have heard, requested the Communication Authority of Kenya to host the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner for 1 year as the office secures for office space. We also deployed 7 officers for a period of 6 months pending the development of the organization structure and the restructuring and the recruitment of staff. The recruitment of necessary staff remains a key priority of the ministry and the government at large. I am happy to note that the ministry will soon forward the proposed organization structure to the Public Service Commission for approval. With the support of Parliament and with the support of the National Treasury and Parliament, we've also had 11 million shillings allocated in the 2021 financial year for the operations of the Office of the Data Commissioner. The objective is to ensure that the office is sufficiently funded to perform its mandate. And Mheshimiwa Kanini Kega, Mheshimiwa Kisang, we are happy that you have committed to giving the Office of the Data Commissioner additional resources for them to be able to play their role critically. We would request that you don't forget the ministry, the mother ministry. Further, the Cabinet Secretary, Joe Musheru, caused the gazettement of a task force to develop general regulations that will see the proper implementation of the Data Protection Act. The ministry recognizes the importance of the Office of the Data Commissioner and will continue to walk the journey with the Data Commissioner past these 100 days and provide our full support. Ladies and gentlemen, it now gives me great pleasure to mark the 100 days of the operationalization of the Data Commissioner's Office by 1, launching the official logo of the office and the Data Protection Commissioner, 2, launching the official website of the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, and 3, recognizing the work that the office has done in the development of key draft manuals and draft guidelines and launch the service charter, draft complaints manual, draft guidelines on the data protection impact assessment, and draft guidelines for consent. These draft documents will be available to stakeholders for comment and further improvement. And we would really request that when these are put out for comment, if we could take the time to make sure that we have reviewed them and we have added our comments in order to ensure that we are all happy with the final documents that get approved. I thank you all, and God bless you very much. And Immaculate and your team, we wish you very well, because your success is our success. Asanteni sana.
That is Principal Secretary Esther Koimet, just currently addressing a gathering that is happening today as the Office of the Data Commissioner is giving an update on the progress they've made since a Data Commissioner was appointed on the 16th of November, the year 2020, just giving an update on the progress and the achievements and what lies ahead for the office in the next 12 months. ICTCS Joe Musheru is also attending this particular forum, and we are having our eyes close to it to give you details about some of the issues that are standing out this morning from there. Now, in studio, we are talking about enhancing digital learning, and I'm having a sit down with Professor Washington Okeyo, the Vice Chancellor of the Management University of Africa. We've shared quite a lot, Prof, on how COVID-19 affected institutions of higher learning, citing even how your institution, the Management University of Africa, had to navigate and adjust just to ensure that learning was seamless during this period. But right now, I just want us to switch gears a little bit and sort of compare these two learning environments. Now that we are faced with this new reality, there's the physical learning and there's the online learning. If you compare the two in terms of experience for the learners and the teachers, and even the impact it has in the learning curve, how do you describe the difference, the plus and the misses for both, for us to understand which one works better, or a merger of the two is the best way to go?
Thank you very much, Serfine, for that question. It's an interesting question because it is the reality that is facing us and facing our learners at the moment. And indeed, the two systems, that is the online and the physical learning, they complement each other. But there are pros and cons on either side. You find that the traditional learning that people are used to, that is the interactive physical learning, requires the students to be physically in campus, and therefore the lecturers also to be physically in front of them and, be teaching them physically. There are so many advantages of that. Obviously, there is the interaction. And usually in teaching, we say there are several aspects of teaching that are important. There is the social, part of it. There is the cognitive part of it. There is the emotional part of it, and so on and so forth. Some of these, one may say, are easier to ensure they happen within an environment of physical learning. Mm-hmm. For example, socialization. It is very difficult to achieve socialization in an environment which is not physical. Because people need to see each other, people need to see body, facial reactions, body reactions, and so on and so forth to be able to socialize. But if you look at it also on the non-physical platform, that is the virtual platform, there is a way to emulate, these aspects of learning. For example, socialization. How do we ensure that socialization is ensured in the virtual learning, for example? We ensure that students are given group discussions, which involve student to student, interaction.
Still via the online platform?
Via the online platform. Okay. We create what we call chat rooms within Zoom, and then students actually chat as if, and they can see each other, they can exchange, they can interact, they can discuss, they can, exchange ideas and so on and so forth. And that arouses their social interactiveness or interaction. The same thing with, cognitive. Cognitive is more of ensuring that the students get the gist of what is being taught. But that is easier to achieve even in the non-physical environment. Mm-hmm. So that even if you compare the physical and the virtual, you still can achieve cognitive. Mm-hmm. Now, and this is achieved by the kind of assignments that the lecturers give to the students, and ensuring that the lecturer is also present during the time when the students are doing some of these group discussions. We establish group discussions to ensure that there is interactiveness and sharing of ideas, and therefore sharing of knowledge, which is very, very important in the learning process. The other one is achieving the emotional. The emotional part of it is a little trickier to achieve offline, rather through virtual, because it may involve, some personal sort of, interaction, some personal expression, and so on and so forth. Okay. But this we try to achieve by, ensuring that our counselors are able to reach out to students. All right. And, discuss with the students their needs. Yeah.
We're coming back to pick up from there, but right now I just want us to go back to the Movenpick Hotel. Okay. All right. We are crossing over to the Kasarani Indo Arena just to listen into what is happening there. President Uhuru Kenyatta today was set to meet young people to launch the Mbele na Bizna Awards. Right now we are having the ICTCS Joe Musheru, who's currently speaking at this particular forum. Let's listen into what he is saying.
Your Excellency, in this regard, you have really pushed the people's agenda and the youth agenda. And really, I want to take this opportunity to recognize you and for the people here to celebrate you. We actually have a song. This is the Mimi ni Shujaa. Can we play that for His Excellency, the President, and we all stand and just clap for him for what he's doing for our country? DJ, tafadhali.
Simama, Wakenya wote simama. Simama, wewe shujaa, simama.
Thank you very much. Asante. Your Excellency, thank you so much and congratulations. we are very proud. Your Excellency, we had also a session with you, with the young people at Bomas of Kenya, where we were launching the Kenya Nimimi program. And we wanted just to ask CAS Nadia to spend a minute just to update you on where we stand right now with the Kenya Nimimi program. If you allow us, sir, it will just be for a minute. CAS, karibu.
Your Excellency, sir, Cabinet Secretaries present, it gives me great pleasure to be here today. Your Excellency, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for launching and endorsing the Kenya Nimimi campaign on the 7th December 2020, which is under the leadership and guidance of CS Joe Musheru. As a ministry in partnership with UNFPA, we immediately embarked on rolling out the campaign. And to this end, we have oriented Kenya Nimimi ambassadors to their role in providing leadership and have commenced regional dialogues and engagement as a whole. The ministry is utilizing the dialogues and engagement to mobilize and engage young people across Kenya around the values and empowering them as solution providers to identify the key challenges that confront their regions and counties through collective process. Your Excellency, sir, we have 52 ambassadors, 47 ambassadors representing the 47 counties, and 3 ambassadors representing the young people living with disabilities. We have also 2 national ambassadors. In addition to that, we have 500 delegates and 20 young social media influencers. We have more young people engaging with the campaign through semi-regional editions that began in January from Mombasa all the way to Lamu. Furthermore, plans are underway to implement strategic capacity building activities for a core group of young people, aligning with the range of existing initiatives such as this one today. Your Excellency, as the ministry championing Kenya Nimimi through CS Joe Musheru's guidance, we remain committed to working with young people to inform, educate, empower, and protect them. We also emphasize the need to reorient the youths and own the youth agenda, supporting you in the Big Four agenda and Vision 2030. Your Excellency, as I conclude, I stay committed to advancing my duties in working for the welfare of the youth of Kenya and supporting you, supporting the Cabinet Secretary, who I'm grateful for his support, supporting the ministry and the government towards achieving the Big Four agenda and Vision 2030. I once again want to thank you, Your Excellency, sir, for your unwavering support in improving young people's life, and I thank you for your constant emphasis on social and national cohesion among young people for peace and togetherness in this Kenya. May God bless you, may God bless the young people, and may God bless Kenya. Thank you.
So thank you, CAS. So, Your Excellency, I'm delighted that you launched the Youth Development Policy in 2019 on 12th of August during a virtual celebration of the International Youth Day. We now have a new youth development policy which is responding to the needs of the youth and their aspirations which are being rolled out as we are doing this today. The policy is unique as it gives an expanded dimension of youth profiles in Kenya by recognizing the categories of youth and cognizant of their unique diversity, expectations, challenges, and opportunities of each. Therefore, today, sir, your administration continues to be on track in delivering the empowerment of the youth in a systematic and transformative manner, with the pride that you are the global youth champion, as celebrated by the United Nations General Assembly. Hence, your goodwill to focus on the needs, opportunities, and support for these young people is the reason we are here today. In furtherance to your administration's empowering the youth today, we are here to witness another milestone towards transforming the lives of youth of this great country under the Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project, popularly known as KEO. This is an ongoing 5-year government project coordinated by my ministry, whose implementation started in 2016 and is expected to close at the end of this year per the design we have put together with the World Bank. The project, sir, has 4 components, and that is being implemented by different government agencies, and hence the CSs that we have here. Labor is included, as well as industry and education. And the 4 components start with 1, improving the youth employability. This is being implemented by my ministry, as well as the Ministry of Education and NITA. That's the National Industrial Training Authority. And under this component, the youth are being equipped with 3 sets of skills. That is namely life skills, core business skills, and job-specific skills. In the second component, sir, it is the support for job creation, which is administered through the provision of small grants and business development services by the ministry, my ministry, as well as the Ministry of Industry, and that is through MSEA. This is the Micro and Small Enterprises Authority. Under component 3, this is improving market information, and this is being implemented through the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, and they are providing the labor market information system. And the final component, which is the 4th component, is strengthen the youth policy development and project management that my ministry is implementing. Your Excellency, sir, what you're spearheading today is the Mbele na Biz business plan competition, which is one of the interventions within the KOP, targeting youth with Form 4 level of education and above, and aged between the 18 and 35 years. The Mbele na Biz business plan competition aims to foster entrepreneurial spirit and capacity amongst young Kenyans by supporting the development of strong business models. The key factors considered during the design and implementation of Mbele na Biz are, number 1, impact. That businesses that demonstrate the potential to create employment for other youth who are aged between 18 and 35 is a key measure. The second one, sir, is the scalability. This is looking at businesses with growth potential. The youth had to demonstrate the promise of becoming commercially viable. And the third, Your Excellency, is that the business is led by youth. Businesses that harness the creativity and the industry of young people in Kenya, and majority ownership and operational management needs to be done by the young people. So as of today, also in the sidelines of this launch of the Mbele na Biz, we are also having the launch of the Youth Enterprise Development Fund Strategic Plan for 2020 to 2024. This has been developed over a 5-year plan that seeks to enhance its impact, efficiency, effectiveness, and sustainability in serving the youth in business. Through this plan, the fund envisions to realize an economically empowered Kenyan youth running sustainable enterprises. This will be achieved by increasing the economic opportunities for and participation of Kenyan youth in job creation through innovative, affordable financing, enterprise development, and strategic partnerships. In conclusion, Your Excellency, an economically empowered youth is key to the nation's development agenda. My ministry, with your guidance, will continue to develop strategies and interventions towards empowering the youth under your great leadership. So, ladies and gentlemen, if we can all be upstanding, it is now my single pleasure and duty to welcome His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya to address you. Thank you very much.
Asanteni sana. Tunaweza tuketi jameni. Asanteni. Vijana hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Yaani hamna furaha ama ni nini? Yangu ni tele. Nashukuru Mungu. Well, the World Bank Country Director for Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and Somalia, all our CSs, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all a very good morning and say that I'm delighted to be in your company today. Young people from every corner of our republic, sons and daughters of Kenya, who are reaching out to their future. I am particularly elated because when I speak to young people, I also speak to the new generation of emerging business leaders personifying the promise of our nation. There is no doubt about the potential of our young people in propelling our society forward. And this is because well-grounded people are known to renew nations and to rebuild economies, but also to restore faith in the power of dreams and innovations. Our sustained prosperity as a nation lies in creating an environment for people's passions to thrive and thereby accord every citizen an opportunity to contribute to the development of this nation of ours. Indeed, those who choose arts have an opportunity to thrive. Those young people who turned out last week to join our security organs become dependable patriots. Those that honor the call in sport also flourish. And also those that join academia and even government have a stage to showcase their talent. And that is the Kenya I believe we all aspire for. We are gathered here today to celebrate a particular group, 750 young entrepreneurs from across the nation who have excelled in creating and executing a dream. They are turning challenges into opportunities and scoring outstanding accomplishments. These 750 young men and women are the winners of the Mbele Nabiz competition held under the Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project. This gathering gives us, therefore, the assurance that indeed the words of our national anthem bear true, that our labor can indeed bear fruit. By mixing their sweat with the soil of the land, many of these young people have created innovations such as planting and harvesting, I'm told, a moringa tree for tea and medicinal purposes. Others have been inspired by the challenges that we face every day and have chosen to create solutions, and they in turn have also won. And this is why we celebrate these young entrepreneurs for restoring the faith in the power of dreams amongst the young people of Kenya. You all have taught us that if you solve a problem, success will follow you. And this is because fortune and favor follows solution givers. But the Mbele Nabiz competition is not just about you 750 winners we had close to 11,000 competitors that did not make it to the winners list. However, this does not mean that the 11,000 competitors are losers. By trying, they demonstrated a desire to win, and my encouragement to them is to appreciate that vision and consistency can conquer any obstacles. If you have tried today and failed, never give up. You must try again tomorrow. And the more you try, the closer you get to success. The only time society declares you a loser is when you stop trying. As for you, the 750 entrepreneurs who have won the awards, my hearty congratulations to each and every one of you. Through you, and because of your hard work, the Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project will inject a total of 1.3 billion shillings into Kenya's youth economy. Of this amount, a total of 900 million shillings will go to 250 of you as grants. Each of these 250 young entrepreneurs will receive an award of 3.6 million shillings to develop your dreams. The balance of 450 million shillings will be given as grants to the other 500 winners, and each of these winners will get a total of 900,000 shillings to develop their innovations and ideas. On our part as government, we will continue to support these innovations by creating an enabling environment for startups by young people. And to this end, I want to refer to our current constitutional debate and how it applies to you, including the necessary legislative changes that will apply. Through the legislative aspect of BBI, we intend to provide a 7-year tax holiday for young entrepreneurs like you who are today receiving these grants from this project. And for the avoidance of doubt, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to break this down for you so that you can understand what a tax holiday means to your individual pocket. If, for instance, one of you who has received a grant from this project decides, for example, to start a nail-making business, that he or she plans to spend about 1.2 million shillings buying, setting up. If we go by market estimates, the net returns of such a startup business would be about 150,000 shillings a month, or about 1.8 million shillings a year. In a normal tax scenario, this young person would owe the Kenya Revenue Authority approximately 540,000 shillings of the 1.8 million shillings that you make each year. And in the 7 years, they would have paid the Kenya Revenue Authority approximately 3.7 million shillings in taxes. But if the proposed tax holiday were to be effected, such an enterprise by a young person would not only save the 3.7 million shillings in 7 years, but it will have generated a total of approximately 12.6 million shillings over the 7-year period. For that young person. And to bring it closer to home, if the 250 young entrepreneurs who today are receiving 3.6 million shillings were to earn an average of 150,000 shillings every month from their initial grant of 3.6 million, they would collectively make 37.5 million in profit a month. This translates to an average of about 450 million shillings per year, or 3.1.5 billion shillings over the 7-year period. Sasa vijana mkiambiwa BBI ni ya Uhuru, hii pesa mnataka ikae kwa mifuko yenu ama mnataka KRA ichukue? Mnataka gani? Iingie kwa mifuko? Na ndio kama huyo msichana ametuambia hapa, muweze kuandika vijana wenzanu na hawa pia waweze kujisimamia na kusimamia familia zao. Hao ni namna gani? Si ni hivyo? Wenzetu, mjue kujisaidia na mjue kusimamia haki zenu, sio kudanganywa na kupatiwa na kutupiwa. Anyway, wache hiyo. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here to celebrate another critical milestone in supporting our young people throughout the country. We are today launching the 3rd cycle strategic plan of the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, covering the period 2020 to 2024. The fund is one of the strategies established by government to address the challenges of youth unemployment through entrepreneurship. To date, the fund has supported approximately 2 million women with loans worth 13.5 billion shillings. This has been achieved by revolving Kenya shillings 4.5 billion from the National Treasury. I am indeed pleased to note that the Youth Fund has disbursed a total of approximately 500 million shillings in loans since the first case of COVID-19 was reported in Kenya. These loans have helped to sustain youth-owned enterprises, thereby enabling them to diversify into new opportunities and to maintain their employees. The plan that we launched today aims to transform this fund into an efficient and responsive entity that meets the needs of our young people. We as government have consulted widely, but we have also listened keenly, and the plan is our attempt to align the work of the fund with the expectations and aspirations of the young people of this country. In particular, the revolving fund will rise from 4.5 billion to 5.5 billion, and we will raise loan disbursements from the current 13.5 billion to 16 billion during the planned period. The fund will also, through this plan, enhance its business development services. It is not just about giving money, but also teaching our young people how to build and keep a business that lasts. I look forward with keen anticipation to the results, and I am sure that the fund will lead us on a path to full recovery for our young people's businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, a caring government and as an administration that is responsive to the administrations of Kenyans, we will continue to create an enabling environment in which every citizen, including our young people, can harness their potential. If we continue to support our young people by easing the cost of doing business, we will continue to implement groundbreaking policies and strategies, such as the e-Citizen online portal that offers access to information and government services, affirmative action funds, such as the Youth Fund, to provide affordable financial and business development support services, Huduma centers that create public service and information from a one-stop shop citizen service center, iHubs to support our tech entrepreneurs, access to government procurement opportunities, amongst other strategies. Also to enhance access to capital for our thriving enterprises, may it be micro, small or medium, my administration will continue to enhance key affirmative action funds, namely the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, which we are enhancing from today, the Women Enterprise Fund, the Uwezo Fund, and the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, popularly known as GAF, to provide financial services to our highly entrepreneurial segments of our Kenyan population. To our new businessmen and women, I want you to recall that on the 23rd of October last year, I launched a collective investment scheme aimed at pooling the resources of the border riders in Kenya. And I want to encourage each and every one of you running your small, medium enterprises to adopt this savings culture that will enable you to participate in broader investment opportunities and ultimately become owners of capital. Let me also add that through the Ajira Digital Program, we will continue to offer free online training opportunities so that we can build onto the more than 670,000 youth currently working on digital and digitally enabled jobs. Further, through an ongoing partnership with the judiciary aimed at expediting the delivery of justice, our young people are undertaking transcription and data entry tasks as part of our broader efforts to both digitize government services as well as provide meaningful employment to our young people. On the infrastructure side, we have now 189 constituency innovation hubs and 150 youth empowerment centers. These centers, with their free internet, are all publicly accessible to youth in need of co-working spaces, and we will continue to roll out implementation until all 290 constituencies are covered. Let me also refer to the National Hygiene Program that we launched during the COVID period, that is popularly known as Kazi Mtaani, that has benefited over 283,000 young people from the Kenya shillings 10 billion fund that we set up. This served as a mitigation to cushion our young people against the adverse effects of COVID-19, which has caused unemployment where our young people were the most vulnerable. In my trips around the country, I have heard calls for this program to be extended. We are working on this, and I hope to have good news on this issue soon. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to close with some words of gratitude. Let me begin by thanking all those who have worked so long and so diligently to draw up these plans. Nasema asanteni sana. Let me also thank the World Bank for their active partnership and support in empowering the young people of this country. Let me also thank the Ministry of ICT and all government agencies and ministries, all our partners, private and public, local and international, all who have worked tirelessly on this monumental task. To you too, I also say asanteni sana. Finally, and most of all, I want to thank you, the young people whose innovation, energy, and sheer willpower, hard work have brought us all here today to celebrate and to reward your hard work. And I want all the young people of Kenya to know that with commitment, discipline, and consistency, you can achieve what may have appeared or what appears to be impossible. Mungu awabariki, Mungu awalinde. It is my hope and prayer that as I continue to tour the country, I will be able to come and see some of your projects and see what you're doing, see how many people you're employing. And through you as winners, I continue to encourage you to encourage your brothers and sisters, to encourage them and tell them that even for them, if your dream has become true, it is also possible for their dreams to also become true. Mungu awabariki na walinde. Asanteni sana.
Nitaomba sasa kuomba wale wawakilishi wa vijana waweze kuja jukwani tafadhali, wale wengine tutatulia. Vijana waweze kumkaribia Mheshimiwa Rais ili tuweze kuzindua. Mheshimiwa Rais, baada ya vijana 12,000 kuingia kwenye ratiba hii walipigwa msasa.
The winners of the Mbele na Biz Award. This is a youth entrepreneurship competition that was spearheaded by the Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Uhuru Kenyatta, they're announcing that the Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project is going to inject up to 1.3 billion shillings to be given to the winners as grants to develop their ideas and their innovations. Talking about the milestones in empowering the youth in the country, including the Youth Fund, the Ajira Digital, among other issues that the President says the government has done to invest in empowering the young people in the country. We'll be giving you more details about this later on. But right now, allow us to wrap up our conversation right here in studio. We've been talking about enhancing the digital learning environment. I've been engaging Professor Washington Okeyo, the Vice Chancellor of the Management University of Africa. Prof, we're just wrapping up. I'd like to give you a chance to give us your final thoughts at a time when a lot of people are still a bit skeptical in terms of accepting the online environment and the products that come, especially employers. Many of them cannot fully trust somebody who has done a fully online course and graduated online. What is it that you can tell us about the future that is there for the online learning environment?
Thank you very much, Serfine, again for having me in the studio. In terms of ensuring that the product that comes out at the end of the day, that is the student or the graduated student, is as good as the one that has gone through the physical learning environment, there are a number of steps that universities take. And it starts all the way from the learning process that we have talked about, ensuring that the learning environment is rather mimics the physical learning environment as much as possible, so that in all aspects the student goes through an experience, a learning experience in the virtual environment, in the online environment, just as the same as what he or she would go through in the physical environment. The only absent thing, of course, is the sporting activities and so on and so forth, which we have a way of ensuring that our students are private to and subscribe to. Now, in terms of the final product
and the integrity
of that final product,
yes,
that is really that hinges on the examination of the student at the end of the day. And the online environment has got its own examination sort of system, which is which is different from the physical environment. The physical environment, obviously, there's the invigilation that takes place, and it is that invigilation process ensures that the students are physically watched when they're doing the exams.
Right.
In the examination, in the virtual environment, the examination, we have what we call proctoring systems. These are systems which take kind of capture the picture around the environment around which the student is doing the exams, so that it can always be seen. The invigilator can see whether the student is accessing unauthorized material, whether the student is being assisted by somebody else, or whether the student is cheating in any other way. And these systems are smart enough to even lock the computer to the specific exam system that they are doing, without the ability to go out and watch the other different browsers within the system.
All right.
So the product that comes out of the online system is as good as the product that comes out of the physical environment learning system.
Do not need to be worried.
So the employers should not be worried at all, because we ensure that all the examination processes, including the setting of the exams. What I needed to also mention is that the exams are set in such a way that even if a student had a book in front of him, even if a student was able to look at a different material, they cannot get that answer directly from that book.
Okay.
So the assurance is there. The product that we get out of our university is as good as the ones that come out of the physical learning environment.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof, for creating time for us. Of course, it's a conversation that you can always pick up in the near future. There's a lot we need to explore when it comes to the digital learning environment. Right now, we just want to pave way for the Swahili version of the program, Tamrini. Nancy Okware is coming up just to take you through that. Do stay for that. My name is Serfine Achieng Ouma, and our sign language interpreter is Len Saudingo, Ali assisted by Lucy Maura. It's a wrap from us. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
fanya hivi, wewe teremuka tu chini. Hata watu wanangojea, unasema unione. Si ninakuona ndio huyu kucha. Kucha ninakuona.
Hii.
Nimekuita mara ngapi Kate? This is the Nissan Note.
Hii ndio motoka.
Not that this is the Nissan Note we are giving out.
Na ni rahisi sana kuwekelea bid. Unaenda kwenye lipa na M-Pesa. Unaweka paybill number 4032353. Kisha unakelea account number ya Nissan Note ni Note, N-O-T-E. Namba ambayo unapenda, labda unapenda 100, labda unapenda 200. Wekelea Note 100, Note 200. Alafu tutakuitisha shilingi 40 peke yake, 40 bob only. Weka pin yako, utakuwa umekelea bid ya hii Nissan Note. Inakungoja wewe mahali popote ulipo. Mimi na mtumishi tutakupea.
Next on.
Kama mja amemtekelezea mwenzake madhambi na akaenda kutubia kwa Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, anapaswa kumregeshea haki yule aliyemkosea.
Ina maana alifanywa maovu lakini hakulipa yale maovu kwa maovu, lakini alilipa maovu kwa kusamea.
Rahma bainana wa
Mshukuru Manani kwa kunipa mke mwema ulosafika moyoni mwenye wingi wa huruma. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah.
On the next episode of
Nataka kwenda kwenu.
Ukiniacha naondoka.
Umesahau wewe nilikokutoa. Hebu nusha.
Hebu rudisha ile limbo lako huko.
Nzuri. Rangi ya chungwa.
Babu, basi kilichokuvutia kwangu ni nini?
Sina mimba.
Jamani, mmeoa mtoto wapi?
Alafu ameona redio naye vile alikuwa ameanza kutangazia kijiji kizima.
this weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Nisha hivyo